Somber, slightly ominous intro music fades in and then fades to a low background hum. You're listening to Whispers in the Darkness, where true horror, myth, and reality intertwine. Tonight's story takes us to the quiet backroads of Wisconsin, where something ancient stalks the farmland, and hunters whisper of a creature that walks like a man, but hunts like a beast. Locals call it the Beast of Bray Road, and if the stories are true, America's real werewolf may still roam those fields. I first heard about the beast years ago, long before I ever set foot in Elkhorn. I thought it was just another campfire legend, the kind of tale small towns invent to give the darkness a face. But then the sightings started again. And these weren't from kids or thrill seekers, but from farmers, police officers, and truck drivers, sober, ordinary people with no reason to lie. They all described the same thing. A huge fur-covered creature, part man, part wolf, with glowing yellow eyes that reflected headlights like mirrors. So last winter, I went to Wisconsin to see what I could find. The locals were polite but guarded. When I brought up Bray Road, conversations ended quickly. A waitress at the diner finally leaned in and said, "If you go out there, don't go alone." The road itself is unremarkable, a stretch of cracked asphalt cutting through cornfields and woods. But at night, it completely transforms. The trees grow close enough to swallow the stars. The wind makes the corn whisper, and every little sound feels too close, too personal. I parked my car near the curve where most encounters were reported, and I just waited, watching my breath fog up the glass. Just before midnight, I heard it. Something moving in the ditch. A heavy, deliberate sound, like something being dragged across the gravel. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out of the car. The beam caught a flash of fur, then eyes, large, golden, reflecting back at me like molten metal. For a moment, the world went completely silent, except for the frantic thumping of my own heart. The creature was crouched low to the ground, its body hulking and just wrong. It was too large to be human, but it was standing upright all the same. When it rose to its full height, I could see everything. Broad shoulders, arms that ended in claws instead of hands, and a chest covered in coarse gray fur. Its muzzle was long, canine, dripping from the cold air. And then it let out this low growl, a sound that vibrated right in my ribs. I froze, my flashlight trembling. Then it lunged forward. I stumbled back into the car, slammed the door, and frantically fumbled with the locks. The creature hit the side of the vehicle. The metal groaned under the impact. My headlights flickered as it circled the hood, its claws scraping and screeching against the glass. I slammed the car into drive and floored it. Gravel sprayed behind me as I tore down that road. In my rearview mirror, I saw its shape chase me for a few steps. Then it just vanished back into the trees. I didn't stop driving until I reached the lights of town. When I finally got the nerve to look at my car, the passenger door was streaked with deep claw marks. 3 long grooves that had cut clean through the paint and into the metal. When I filed a report, the sheriff suggested it was probably just a bear. But bears don't run on 2 legs, and they don't chase cars. Over the following weeks, I spoke to others who had seen it. One woman described hitting something near that same curve. A dark figure that stood up after the collision and glared into her headlights before limping away into the darkness. A farmer told me about finding his livestock mutilated, their bodies dragged towards the woods. The snow around them was marked by huge tracks, long toes ending in claws, spaced too far apart for any known animal. An older man, someone who'd lived in Elkhorn all his life, finally told me what no one else would say out loud. "It's not just an animal," he said, his voice low. "It's cursed. It's been here longer than we have. Something old got left behind in those woods." I laughed it off at the time, but the more I learned, the less funny it became. Reports of the beast stretch all the way back to the 1930s, long before anyone thought to make a movie or write a book about it. Farmers back then claimed it prowled the fields at night, walking upright, tearing open chicken coops and vanishing before dawn. Some said it was a shapeshifter, a man who turned into a monster beneath the full moon. Others whispered that it was a punishment, the spirit of greed or rage given flesh. I went back to Bray Road one final night before leaving. The moon hung low and red, and the snow on the fields shimmered like glass. I stopped the car in the exact same spot as before and killed the lights. The night pressed in around me, heavy and cold. And then, faintly, I heard it. The crunch of footsteps on ice, slow and deliberate. A shape moved across the field, tall, hunched, following the tree line. I watched through the windshield, barely breathing. The creature turned its head, and those same golden eyes found me again, burning across the distance. It didn't charge this time. It simply stood there, watching me until the wind shifted and the smell hit me. Wet fur, iron, and the faint scent of decay. I blinked, and it was gone. I left Wisconsin the next morning. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind howls just right, I swear I can hear the sound of claws dragging across pavement. Maybe it's just my imagination. Or maybe the Beast of Bray Road followed me home. So if you ever find yourself driving those quiet country roads, and you see a pair of yellow eyes staring back at you from the cornfields, don't stop. Don't get curious. Whatever you think you saw, it wants you to look again. You've been listening to Whispers in the Darkness, where legends breathe and shadows still have teeth. Thank you for joining us in the dark. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there.